Mr. Speaker, thank the Minister, and Sir, I rise to oppose this bill. I do not oppose the bill because of its provisions around tax secrecy. I do not oppose the bill because of the new privacy framework. I don't oppose the bill because of tax pooling, and I don't oppose the changes to donee status. But Sir, Labor most definitely opposes the change to abolish gift duty. And we do, sir, because politics is about priorities. And this is one more little straw that is in danger of breaking the camel's back of the nation's fiscal balance. This abolition of gift duty is not a matter of $70 or $100 million. The reason that gifting tax avoidance is limited to that small amount of money is precisely because the rules exist. Remove the rules, Minister, and watch a mushrooming of avoidance structures just as have occurred under LAQCs and under trusts. And Mr. Speaker, it used to be the case that the once proud National Party campaigned on the basis of personal responsibility. And I call upon the House and listeners out there to just think for a moment about what personal responsibility means in a time of recession. So New Zealanders around the country are doing it tough. God knows West Coasters have been doing it tough. Cantabrians have been doing it tough. But in my electorate of New Lynn, small businesses and retailers and employers are doing it tough. And in a recent poll, 1 in 4 New Zealand families said they were worried about losing the roof over their heads. We know from statistics released in the last 2 days from Statistics New Zealand and the Treasury that the average household family income's gone backwards by $30 a week in the last year, $18 for an average salary individual. And against that background of real suffering, I call upon the government to walk the talk on personal responsibility. And what personal responsibility means in the tax sphere is that everybody pays their fair share. Everybody pays their fair share. There is no room, Mr. Speaker, for any form of legitimised avoidance in times of recession when New Zealanders are fearing for the roof over their heads or putting food on the table or paying nationals extra GST or getting by. And they do not want to be told that only half of the top 100 taxpayers are on the top tax rate, which is what the IRD told the tax working group. And they don't want to be told that after 2 rounds of tax cuts that have overwhelmingly benefited the well-off, cutting the top tax rate firstly from 39 cents to 38 and then cutting it all the way to 33 cents, where 42% of the tax remission went to the top 10% of earners. New Zealanders don't need yet another gift to the better off. Politics is about priorities, and sometimes it's the little things that matter. Sometimes it's the little things that people out there can grab onto and get their heads around and say, now I understand what this government's really about. Now I understand the difference between National, the party of the few, and Labour, the party of the many. And we oppose this bill, sir, because this bill is a bill for the few. The member may laugh, but this is a bill for the plutocrats of Remuera who want to gift their equity to little Johnny or little Jane, someone who, by the way, might just have a lower tax rate than mummy or daddy. Those are the issues. Now, sir, it may be the case, sir, that there are perfectly legitimate reasons for gifting. And Labor is not saying that anybody who indulges in gifting is avoiding tax. Don't misread me. Don't misread me in that, Mr. Speaker. There are perfectly legitimate reasons for gifting. But it is possible to gift, as of today, tax-free, up to a threshold of $27,000 per annum. which is enough for most families. It's enough for most people. But it's not enough for the National Party because their constituencies demand the right to give more than $27,000 per annum per man, woman and child because such is the burden of income to be spread. Well, not, sir, in these tough times. Not in these tough times. If it's good enough for ordinary Kiwi families to be told to pull in their belts, then it's good enough for the government to put up legislation that reflects the needs of hard-working New Zealand families. That's why our leader was talking yesterday about the squeezed middle. The hard-working New Zealanders who are just well off enough not to qualify for anything in the benefit or the welfare system. They've got a job. It's the plumbers, it's the secretaries, it's the technicians, it may be the taxi drivers, the squeezed middle. The squeezed middle. And this bill doesn't help them. This is not a priority for the middle because they haven't got a spare $20,000 each to give away each year. $27,000 of post-tax income is how much pre-tax income? Junior Whip? Too much maths, huh? And the answer is it depends on their tax rate. But I thought you might buy into that one, but no. Strange silence broke out on the government benches when confronted with such a piece of mathematics. There's the highly qualified representative of the medical sector there looking at me and grinning because he knew the answer, but he wasn't going to tell the Chief Whip. They can sort that out later. They can sort that out later. Mr. Speaker, Labour will look forward to hearing the submissions on this bill, and we hope to hear from a large number of ordinary New Zealanders who will want to express their views about whether this really is a priority for tax reform. And, sir, the abolition of gift duty will go down as one of those little emblems, one of those little tokens, one of those little moment of truths at a time when the recovery's not happening and people are wondering about their futures, and they hang on to this and they say, goodness me, wasn't it enough to have 2 rounds of tax cuts for the well-off? Wasn't it enough to take the top tax rate all the way down from 39 cents to 33? Wasn't it enough to give 2/3 of the money to 1/3 of the people? Wasn't it enough to give 30% of the money to the top 5%? No, it wasn't. We're going to make it easier then for them to gift the winnings to little Johnny, who happens to be on a lower tax rate than mum and dad. Well, here's what Labour would do. It's that time in the cycle where the public wants to know what Labour would do. Labour would not abolish gift duty. Labour will crack down on avoidance. Labour will hack into the $2.3 billion per annum of losses on LAQCs alone, and Labour will ring-fence LAQCs. Labour will ring-fence LAQCs. There is no reason why the losses on a company should be written off against personal income. Fair enough to carry them forward to future profits. Fair enough to allow the company to manage between good times and bad. Fair enough for a company to write off legitimate expenses, but not fair enough to use a company structure to avoid personal income tax, because in these tough times, personal responsibility means this: everybody pays their fair share. Everybody pays their fair share, and the last thing New Zealanders need to hear is that it is a priority for this government, for the plutocracy, that they ram through the House in a week where we face urgency, a bill to allow them to gift to little Johnny at a lower tax rate. That is not a priority for the New Zealand Parliament. It is not a priority on the gates of Christmas. It is not a priority on a week when urgency is looming. And it is not a priority for the Labour Party. Labour opposes this bill. This bill is in many ways innocuous, but the abolition of gift duty will go down as an emblem of a government that has lost touch with ordinary New Zealanders, lost touch with people who are doing it tough in a recession, lost touch with their own values of personal responsibility, lost touch with the electorate, and soon to lose touch with the Treasury benches. Opposition's been fun, Mr. Speaker, but we're over it. We're ready to govern.
Cole. Order. I'm calling Craig Foss.